I started in advertising because I had washed out of 2 real careers before that, and I'd been unemployed long enough that my mother phoned a response to an ad in the newspaper.
I think what prompted me to get into advertising music was that I really didn't like to work for a living.
I was a failure working for Rumpke.
And my father from North Florida, you really have to get rid of a southern accent before you can get into advertising or selling, unless you've got your own automobile dealership or something like that.
When they interviewed me for a copywriting job, I was thinking Copyrightting. I had no idea what the job was.
And had all these dreams of being a filmmaker and a writer, and couldn't really find a job anywhere.
Well, I got started in college, and it was writing. And I would always do well on term papers, and I built kind of a following. I would write your term paper, and I would guarantee your grade. And if you wanted an A, it was one price. If you wanted a B, it was another price. If you wanted a C, I didn't charge you much at all.
I swore up and down that I would never get involved in advertising. As a matter of fact, my parents can tell you that in the beginning, I said, there's no way in hell that I'm going to wind up working in advertising. I don't want to sell anything to anybody, and I'm above all that.
I think it was on my paper route when I was 12 years old and started getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. What a dumb thing to do. And off I would go and sell the Binghamton Sun, and I didn't have a lot of customers, so I had to knock on the door of all these houses I was walking by and saying, no, can I give you a free newspaper for a week or so, and then I'll come back and see if you like it. And then I filled in all the houses in between, and my paper route just blossomed. Then I got a hernia from carrying all those newspapers, and then I quit advertising. I think advertising sucks.
If I was an advertising icon, I would be the Kellogg's Raisin Bran Sun, because sunshine.
I guess I would be Tony the Tiger, because he's got the greatest line of all. It's great!
I get a kick out of the Affleck duck.
I thought I was an advertising icon. I didn't know.
I was one once. At Halloween, a couple years back, I was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Soft, cushy, and everybody likes him.
Mr. Magoo, he has always been one of the characters that I have enjoyed so much.
Lee Iacocca, because he just brought Chrysler out of the grave.
So I think right now I'm gonna have to go with the Energizer Bunny.
The Energizer Bunny, because from what I read, there's not gonna be Social Security by the time I'm ready to retire, so I'll just have to keep going and going and going.
I would definitely be the Hamburglar from McDonald's.
I would say that my family would like me to be Betty Crocker because I don't like to cook.
They call me Betty Crocker Worthington at home. I enjoy cooking for the family.
I would be the green M&M because she is sassy, she is spunky, she's everything I am.
My most memorable advertising experience came when Jake Sweeney Sr. came to me and said, never do that again. And that was that famous line where I was using Chris Collinsworth and Boomer Esiason, and it was a television commercial, and right behind him I popped up out of the screen and said, now that's a deal!
Called the sheep commercial for Queen City Metro, where from a metaphor standpoint, we had 100 sheep march and run behind a bus on 4th Street. It's more difficult to control the sheep than it is any other talent that you've ever been involved with. But little did we know that the biggest challenge of all was that we had forgotten to hose down the sidewalks. And the very next day, Northlick's phone was ringing off the hook from merchants, especially Nettleton Shoes that no longer exists, from people walking into their stores having stepped in sheep droppings, and especially the shoe store.
Wow, this business is pretty cool.
And we were presenting layouts, and they had headlines, subheads, a visual, and then just Greeked body copy. And after the meeting, the CEO turned to the Sparkling Fresh MBA and said, "Now, what would you like to ask the agency?" And she said, "Well, first I'd like to say I like all the ideas, and having done my thesis on reader involvement, and it's important in ads, I think it's a really great idea to do all the body copy in a foreign language, because it forces them to go out and find the translation and really get involved with the product."
And by the way, the first commercial was for Sears. I'll never forget it. And neither will Sears on radio. If you've invited yourself or your listener to shop the short sleeve sports shirt sale at Sears and save this summer, it didn't exactly sound like that, but we won't get there.
So every time I saw a business that had one of those signs, or even a big sign like out in front of Frisch's or something, I would go up and say, "Hi, I'm Jim Scott. I work on the radio in the morning on WSAI. If you'll put up on your sign, Jim Scott was here, I'll give you a free commercial on the radio in the morning." And it worked, and I did it, and I would have them all arranged like the following Monday, and you'd be driving down Montgomery Road, and there would be 15 of these. So I had this huge advertising budget, which I created with no money.
So here we are, 3 o'clock in the morning on a runway at the CVG airport with Santa Claus and Elvis. And it was bizarre, it was so much fun, it was wacky.
I was supposed to interview with the president of Y&R. And got there about half an hour early and went to the Hamburger Haven next door to have a cup of coffee while I waited, and proceeded to spill the whole cup of coffee all over the front of my suit, and was in a complete panic and ran frantically to the garment district trying to find anyone who was open to buy some new clothes, and finally did. I made some guy open up and bought some new clothes and made it to the interview just in time, and I got the job too.
And it was just such a great experience, a learning experience, as well as to be able to go to National, as well as hear wonderful speakers and see the National Addies, which is just a huge celebration of advertising in America.
The overall idea of being advertising is what's thrilling and momentous every single day.
I remember seeing the Slinky commercials when I was a kid, and I remember the song, "Slinky, Slinky, what a wonderful toy."
La da 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 dee dee doo. And that was it. 1360 WSAI.
Plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is.
Buckle up for safety, buckle up. Buckle up for safety, always buckle up. Pull your seatbelt snug, give an extra tug. Buckle up for safety, always buckle up.
Oh, look at that funny guy, it's Super Mr. Potato Head. You can make a funny potato head with a Super Mr. Potato Head. Shake hands, Mr. Potato Head, add eyes and ears and funny noses. Hands you can bend in so many poses. You can even make a Mrs. Potato Head with a Super Mr. Potato Head. I like you, funny guy. And then at the end, the little girl, she sticks her tongue out.
I've got shoes, you've got shoes, all God's children got shoes. But the only shoes for you and me are Buster Brown's shoes. Hi, kids. I'm Buster Brown. I live in the shoe, and this is my dog, Tig. He lives there, too. And I remember even when I was a kid, it kind of creeped me out to think about a dog and a kid living in my shoes.
I'm a big red smoky. I'm really lots of fun when you put me on a bun like a hot dog. Thank you.
I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener.
That is what I truly like to be.
'Cause if I were an Oscar Mayer wiener, what is the rest?
So I'm very proud to be an Ad Club member. I'm very proud of what the club has accomplished in its 100 years, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next 100 years.
The Ad Club itself has been an icon in this community.
In the early years of women populating the board, and I was the only woman running that year. We came out onto the floor, and of course the guys on my team, the red team, asked me to wear something very popular at that time, which was hot pants. So I came running out in my white hot pants with my little red shirt, and I was memorable, and I think that's how I got the vote.
It's just been a real springboard into a career, and then just some of the friendships that you form there have been wonderful.
I feel very fortunate to have met and developed friendships with people that probably I would never have crossed paths before, but are still within the industry.
Met some people here at the Museum Center, actually doing some preliminary work for the Centennial. Got to know people. One thing led to another. There was an open position, and here I am. So thank you, Ad Club.
We had a lot of neat events, the media auctions, the Addies. Everybody just pitched in. These people just devote so much time and energy into the club that you get caught up with it, and then you give more.
Two goals that I wanted to achieve as president. One, as you will remember, we were in a financial difficulty. And one of the goals that I had personally was to resurrect our financial posture, bring it out of the red and put it into the black, which we did. The other thing was we had never taken our board, but our officers to the conferences, and we were able to accomplish that.
It was back in the early 90s, and Maplethorpe had just happened, and at the same time, the club was looking for a more tightly judged show. And we created sort of a mock ad, which was the infamous banana and donut ad. Is this ad obscene?
And I was asked to be the Tin Man in an Ad Club movie. What I remember is for about a week, I had gray hair, a gray face, I was a gray everything. I wore gray shoes. And for that, look at me today. I think it affected the top of my head.
The first time that I came to an Ad Club event, I was actually a little nervous. I called a friend of mine that was in the business, and I said, you know, I'm going to this thing. Do you want to go too? I don't know anybody type thing. And I get there, and you know, you meet a few people, but it didn't take very long until I was looking forward to the events. And oh, I have a luncheon. I can't wait to go.
I went to a luncheon for Career Day, and it really opened my eyes to, you know, how competitive things were and
how good the quality is of the people and the work that's done in Cincinnati. And my entree into understanding that was joining the Ad Club.